Height, this will put Link at 1.39755 meters, or almost exactly 4 foot 7 inches tall. Slapping in the numbers, we can figure out that that ladder is approximately 677 inches tall, or 56 feet and 5 inches, or 17.2 meters.
You asked for it. Now, before we actually get into this, I do want to say that these numbers and measurements aren't perfect, because this is more to prove how ridiculous things can be with video game measurements than anything. So as much as they are generally pretty accurate, they're not perfect. So this is for fun more than anything. So we start off with adult Link at 5 foot tall. He's kind of a small boy, but that's okay. Now, knowing this, it's pretty simple to just put a ruler up to Link, make sure that it says 5 foot or 1.5 meters tall, and then slide it on over to the Master Sword. Pretty easy to do. If we do this, this puts the Master Sword at about 105 centimeters, or 41 1/3 inches, or 3 foot 5 inches. That pretty much perfectly fits in with the length of a broadsword, which is what it's supposed to be, so awesome. We're off to a great start, aren't we? Unfortunately, that's kind of where the accuracies start to fall apart. Because now we can basically take our ruler, line it up with any Master Sword, and then slide it over to any Link that's in the same frame and figure out how tall Link is. We can apply this to pretty much any Zelda game where we see both the Master Sword and Link at about the same distance from the camera, with Link standing up straight. So let's take this number and apply it to Wind Waker first. Easiest place to do it is, well, when Link's getting it powered up, and here we can slide our ruler on up, size it properly, and then slide it on over, and oh, if the Master Sword is 105 centimeters, this puts Wind Waker Link at 116 centimeters, or about 45.5 inches, basically 3 foot 9. That is a whole 10 inches down from what I had estimated he was going to be. Okay, well, so Wind Waker Link isn't exactly winning any awards in the height department. How about Breath of the Wild? It seems a little bit more realistic in terms of Master Sword to Link ratio. Well, looking here, if the Master Sword is 105 centimeters, and that puts Breath of the Wild Link at about 126, or 49.6 inches, or 4 foot 2. Okay, so Link is a tiny boy for using the Master Sword as a measuring stick. Maybe we can go with a different Link. How about Twilight Princess? We've got a pretty good shot here when Link gets the Master Sword for the first time. Except that this makes him only about 120 centimeters, or 47 inches, 3 foot 11. Oh, Link, come on, buddy. You're killing me, dude. Tell you what, let's go to one of my personal favorites. Well, that's pretty much the whole series, but a nostalgic favorite. One with sentimental value. My first real Zelda game, Link to the Past. The Master Sword stands at about 19 pixels long. Link stands at about 18 pixels. If the Master Sword is 19 pixels long, that makes each pixel about 5.53 centimeters. So Link standing at about 18 is 99.5 centimeters, or 39 inches, or 3 foot 3. If we are generous and give him like this weird shadowy pixel underneath his foot, and his entire hat, and give him 21 pixels, that puts him at 116 centimeters, or 45.5 inches, or about 3 foot 9, the same as Wind Waker. Okay, so Link's a small boy. That's fine, but you know what? Let's see how this measures up to other characters. Twilight Princess has this beautiful chart with the character models showing how tall they are compared to each other, so let's see how this works out. If Link is in fact 120 centimeters tall, then this puts Midna at roughly 51? I want to guess where the top of her head is. It's very unclear, but that's my estimate of where the top of her head is. But you're at 20.1 inches, or 1 foot 8. Ilia stands at about 114 centimeters, or 44.9 inches, or 3 foot 9. Zelda is only 4 centimeters taller than Link, or about 2 inches. Well, closer to 1.5 inches. So if we round, then yeah. Shad is 4 centimeters taller than her, roughly, at about 50.4 inches, or 4'2". Midna's true form would then be 136 centimeters, or 53.5 inches, or 4'6".
Zant comes out to 174 centimeters, or 68.5 inches, or about 5'8.5 inches.
This puts good old G-Man at 204 centimeters, or 6'8". For reference, Mario is 5'1". I am 5'10". I tower above everyone but Ganondorf, and Zant's just a few inches below me. So far, comparing the Master Sword to the characters isn't really coming up with very realistic numbers, but what if we applied my system? If Link is the same height at 16 in Twilight Princess as he is at 16 in Ocarina of Time, and that puts him at 5 foot tall, or 152 centimeters. So let's look at how this adjusts the numbers. A little bit of math is pretty easy to do, and we end up with Midna at 64.6 centimeters, or 2'1". That's a good 5 inches. Ilia comes in at 144 centimeters, or 4'9". Zelda 157 and 5'2". Shad 162 to 5'4". Midna comes out to 172 centimeters, or 5'8", almost my height.
Zant pops up to 220 centimeters, about 7'3".
And Ganon springs up all the way to 258 centimeters, or 8 foot 6 inches tall. This would also put the Master Sword at about 133 centimeters, or 4'4", which is almost average size for a claymore. Now, of course, in all of this, there's something that I've kind of glossed over that I want to go back to. Because Ganondorf, he's tall. Even with this shrimpy dinky 3'11" Link, he's still almost 7 foot tall. If we go by my system, then in Twilight Princess he's 8'6", and that's pretty damn big. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's 7 foot. I don't even think I've met anyone who's over 6'6". But of course, we have to kind of go and take a look at Ganondorf in Wind Waker, because an 8.5 foot tall Ganon in Twilight Princess ain't got anything. Because we can look here, after Link has very much failed to kill Ganondorf with the Master Sword, that he's big. And I mean f***ing massive. In this shot, we can estimate Ganondorf to be about 327 centimeters, or 10 foot 9 inches. Oh, and that's going off of the Master Sword as a measuring tool. If we decide to, scale it up based on my estimate of how tall Link was at 4'7", that puts this Ganondorf at 395 centimeters tall. Here in Burgerland, we call that 155.5 inches. Or, if you really don't feel like doing the math, I did it for you. That's 13 feet 11.5 inches tall. He's a big boy. Oh Lord, he coming. I'm sure you could use these results to get weird numbers for any character that you can get a 3D model for and put it up next to Link, but at the same time, should you? Link is very notably short anyways. He's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be this big, tall, buff, heroic dude. He's supposed to be underestimated. He's supposed to be seen as an underdog. He's supposed to be looked down on, I feel. Having him smaller than everyone else, I think, was kind of an intentional design choice. I don't think they intended him to be, barely over 3 foot tall, but Link being a small guy helps drive home just how much of a difference that is for him to go and conquer these powerful monsters and demons. He's constantly looking up to everyone and everything almost. Regardless of exactly how tall he is, he's going up against things that dwarf him. I mean, in Twilight Princess, he could headbutt Ganondorf in the junk standing up. No joke. So a lot of this was more just to kind of show how ridiculous it is and how inconsistent the Master Sword is and unreliable it is as a measuring stick, but at the same time, I love the message that Link's just a small guy doing his best and saving the world despite the fact that he's small to everyone else. He may be a little guy, regardless of exactly how little he is, but he's still doing so much more than people expect from him. And I think that's kind of a beautiful message, honestly. So as much as this is largely to be a smartass, I think that's a beautiful message, and, well, I think it's something to think about from time to time. Is there really any moral to this? I don't know, other than don't look down on little people just because they're little, because you never know what they could pull off. Either way, this has been a fun little adventure through numbers. I'll see you guys next time.